and thanks everyone. Now, why there's a story? I mean, there's a what happened with this title. I actually sent it out, and I sent in my summary, my write-up as well. The write-up got in, but the summary didn't get in. So the actual title I will show you in a while. But what I would like to share with everybody here is this. First of all, you see this thing here, and what does it read up there? Can everyone read this together, please? 1, 2.
Sage on stage.
Sage on stage. Now, let me first make the number one statement. That's not me. Alright? And I do not intend to be a sage on stage. I would like, as much as possible, people to raise questions. You know, if you agree with something that I say, please agree violently. If you disagree mildly. You know, that kind of thing. Right? So, but feel free, because I'm not here to teach you anything. Alright? I'm just here to share some experiences and how we can learn some things from this thing called TOW. And I'll explain what TOW is in a while. Right? I actually appreciate very much Anita's sharing just now, because I myself have been in the infantry for about 24 years. Right? It was my first job. I love it so much because it was such an easy job. You know, every day we eat, every day we sleep, once in a while we walk around, you know, that kind of thing. It was a good job. Yeah? So, but I decided to leave and do something else related to training. Right? And I'm very glad to have been given an opportunity to train and to share. So, scope for the next couple of minutes, right? I won't take that long. Is first of all, TOWs, how are they different from a projectile weapon? Right, and I'll go into that in a while. Secondly, this is the main body of it. What is in your missile, so to speak? Right? Developing intellectual firepower. How do we do that? Why is it essential? And the third and fourth one, we're talking about your needs, not my needs. And lastly, how to get the target, even when the target is moving. Alright, how many have done shooting before? Any form of shooting? Only the guys first. You shoot before. What do you shoot? The wooden gun with the gasolina, the Wacheri gun, eh? Yeah, okay. That's a good gun. Right. So when we shoot, tell me which is easier to hit, a target that's still or a target that's moving? A target that stays there, right? Okay, so of course that's easier to hit. So the last part we're talking about, if the target moves, what to do? Right, and I will explain again in a while. Now of course the topic is called Ready, Fire, Aim. Does that sound familiar? It should be what? Those of you who have fired before, normally what do you do? What do you hear? You say what? Aim first. You aim first, right? You ready first or you aim first? You ready first, right? Then after that you aim. Then after that you fire. That's normal, isn't it? What's wrong with this guy? Ready, fire, aim. Does he know what he's talking about? Right. Now, why is it ready, fire, aim? And down here the subtitle, of course, I put it, what we can learn from TOWs. Okay? Is anyone familiar with this picture here? Do you know what this is about? Tell me, somebody tell me, just by looking at the picture, what is this? Guided missile. It's a guided missile. Now, if you look at this, is of course the missile. If you look here very carefully, what do you see?
Wire.
You see a wire. Right? What's the wire for?
I think it's like the taser.
For the?
It's like a taser that is wire and for the power.
For the power. Is it for the power? To power the missile, is it?
Probably.
Okay. That's an interesting observation. Alright? No, the wire is actually for the signal for the operator to guide the missile. Alright? We'll see in a while. Okay? Don't worry, it's a good guess. Alright. Now, TOW actually stands for Tube Launched Optically Tracked Wire Guided. Right? TOW. Don't worry about all the technical details in there. It's just to give you an idea of what is in the missile. That's all. Okay? There are several versions of TOWs. You will find that this version, which is it's not the latest, but it's kind of like medium range. Okay, you actually have an explosive out here because tanks nowadays have got explosive reactive armor. So if you fire a missile at them and you don't have this, alright, your missile is not going to penetrate the tank. Okay? You have all kinds of things. But anyway, that's digressing. Okay, so that's what a toe looks like. Now, in the instruction manuals, you will find typically that this is what you see when you are the firer and you look through the sights. Okay. Now, this is of course a schematic diagram of a tank. And of course, if you want to hit the tank, this tree here is assuming that the tank is about 3,000 meters away. Right? The effective range of a tow missile is about 4,000 meters. That's about 4 kilometers. Alright? Which is about, if you talk in terms of running, 10 times around the stadium. Okay, that is how far the range is. Okay? Now, so for this missile, you see the cross up here? Okay. When you first fire, the operator doesn't use this. The operator puts this cross on the tank at first. Okay, I'll explain in a while. Now, how many are familiar with this? Familiar, right? Now, this is when you say ready, aim, fire, isn't it? Right? And it applies to this. Now, what's the difference between this and this? What's the difference? Anyone? Just say something.
One is manual, one is assisted.
One is
Manual.
manual and the other is
Assisted.
assisted. Very, very close. Okay, now let's take a closer look. You will find that with the tow missile, you have all these characteristics. With the projectile weapon, right, you have all these characteristics. Okay. So first, there is an initial rough aim, which, as I mentioned before, is that cross up there. Okay, you put that on the tank first. Then when you fire the missile leaves the tube. For the first 400 meters, you have no control. Simply because the missile has not stabilized yet. Okay, it is just gone, it hasn't stabilized. You try to twist and turn, it does not respond. Until 400 meters away. Alright? Okay. Did you have a question? Why? Okay, because it takes time to stabilize, number one. Number two, the missile is only armed at about 400 meters. Okay, why is that so? Okay, when it's armed, it means that if I hit something, it will explode. Okay, if it is armed too near, what happens? If it hits a target, the target explodes. Yes, absolutely. Whatever, you should join the army. Alright? So it is to prevent damage to yourself. Alright, so that's the reason. It has a lower velocity. Okay, normally missiles, they go at about just slightly over the speed of sound, sometimes less. It's actually subsonic, some of them. Okay, for missiles. It's guided to the target and it is semi or fully active homing. What does this mean? It means that before it hits the tank, the missile actually senses the heat from the tank engine. Alright, and it's able to zoom in actually and go for the tank itself. So even if you don't aim very well, it can still hit the tank. Okay? Unless of course there are fires burning. Besides that, it may just go for the fire. So as an operator, you must be very careful. You have to guide it, especially when there's fire around. Okay. Now this one, firstly you need to aim precisely. You have to make sure that the target is there. Because when you fire, do you have any control? None. You cannot say once you fire a bullet from the rifle, you think it's off, you blow. You know, for the bullet to go, it's gone. Right? If you miss, you miss. That's it. Okay. The bullet has a higher velocity compared to the missile. Right? Part of the reason is because it needs to be stabilized. Okay. A missile, when it leaves, is stabilized by the fins. It is still spinning, but it's fin stabilized. Whereas a bullet, it is what? It's stabilized by the spin. Right? So even in the old days when they use a musket ball, right? In musket ball, in the rifle battle, it spins a little bit, but not as much as today's bullets. Okay? The Civil War and all that, they actually used muskets that were rifled for some of the models. Okay? Other muskets were smooth. Okay? You put a powder in, put a ball in, and kind of thing. Right? But others are rifled. Of course, it cannot be guided and there's no homing capability. So that's the basic difference. Now, obviously, tonight I'm not here to talk to you about weapons. Okay, I'm just using this to illustrate a point. Okay. So what? All that. So what do we learn? Very simple. We have the ability to so-called shoot first and to adjust later. Now what does this mean to us? Does anyone have something speaking to you already? What does it mean to us as trainers? Adaptability, okay, excellent. What do you mean by that, please? Karthik?
When you like try to make the first move first, then after that, then you have to make adjustments. Very similar, almost exactly like how airplane pilot.
Alright. So it's the same thing. It is like the difference between a bomber and a missile. You know, most of us grew up in the era of the Cold War. Right? So you know that the Soviet Union, the US and so on, they have missiles pointing at each other. Once you press the button, there is no recalling the missile. Okay? But if you send out your bombers, you at least have a chance to call them back if you change your mind. Okay? So we are like that. We actually can start something even though we are not 100% ready. Okay? How many of you like to start things when you're not 100% ready? Anybody? Well, quite a few adventurous people. Okay, what about the rest? How many prefer to start things when you are more or less certain? But don't be shy, raise up your hands. Okay? Yes. I think it's very natural, isn't it? We are human beings, all of us. When we want to do something, we want to make sure there's preparation. We want to make sure what is the end result going to be. Right? We want to make sure that if I do this more or less 80%, 90%, I will get there. If possible, 100%. Don't we? Right? Okay. What I'm saying to you tonight is this. As with the TOW missile, we do not have to be 100% sure before we start. We do not have to be 100% sure before we start marketing. We don't have to be 100% sure before we go to a client and say, hi, do you have this issue? Would you like to solve your pain? Can I do this for you? Can I solve your pain for you? But actually you don't have 100%, okay, something for that. Okay, I'm saying tonight it is possible for us to do that. How? Doesn't sound logical, isn't it? If I don't have something already in place, how can I develop it in time for a client? Has anyone done that before? You got to see a client, you actually don't have a structured program to answer to the client's needs, but you say yes anyway. Anyone done that? John, can you share with us a little bit what you did, please?
No, I have a rough idea what it is all about, but I don't have the complete framework. But I know the client has got this problem, so when you see the client, in fact, he helped me a lot to form the framework, because by asking him questions, I will know what to develop for him.
Absolutely. Right, thanks, John. Okay. Do you have similar experiences? You have?
Yep.
You have. Can you share with us what was yours?
Well, actually, it's pretty similar. I was getting a client, and the difficult part is that at first she told me I really want you to do a program for me, and I said, what exactly do you want? And she told me that I really don't know what exactly I want. That was very interesting. So I started asking a lot of questions, and then towards the end of it, I somehow got a picture in mind of what exactly she would like to accomplish at the end of the program. So I went back and basically she just helped me, just like what he said, helped me a lot on how to prepare the program.
Right. Okay, thank you. So actually, is it helping us? It is, right? Well, actually more than helping us. Do you realize that our client is actually helping themselves? That we are actually helping them by asking questions. Right? So that we don't come up with something, and when we finish the program, the client says, that's not what I want. Right? And you're putting your blood, sweat and tears into running the program, designing and developing the program, and the client tells you, no good. Right? So even if we don't know what the client wants, it's useful to do this. Shoot first, adjust later. Okay? So of course, we've already answered some questions on it. Any questions so far? Or observations? Yes, please.
Just for fun. I just say, what kind of prepare, then you also adjust and so you better.
Yes. Definitely. We can have something, even a structured program, right? When you see the client, your client may want to customize and adjust. Yes, you adjust as you go along.
That's happened.
That is the best. That is the best. What I'm saying is, it is possible for us to go see a client, even if we don't have a customized program. But there are some conditions. Right? Some conditions. So what are those conditions? Okay. That brings me to the second part of it. Okay. What is in your missile? These are the conditions that must exist before I am able to shoot first and adjust later. Right? So what's in your missile? Those are all the various types, the models and so on. You get this off the internet, no problem. Just key in home missile, you find all this. Now, before I go into what do we need proper, do you know what this is? Let's look at the picture up there. Laying chairs, right? Blindfolded, you know this. How many of you have ever played blindfolded chess? Or you have seen somebody playing blindfold chess? Have you heard of it?
Yeah.
Heard of it, right? Heard of it. I know this guy who is from Australia. His name is Dr. Jonathan Sarfati. Right? He's one of the world champions for playing blindfold chess. And what he does is he plays against a computer and he wins. Believe it or not. Right? It's one of the things. And it is so difficult because I can't see the board. Not only must I remember where my pieces are, I must remember where my opponent's pieces are. Okay, so everything must be crystal clear inside. My foundations must be right. Okay, my vision must be very good. Okay, my perspective, my memory must be very good. And that, ladies and gentlemen, boils down to this thing we call intellectual firepower. Right? I am not saying that we all need to take a PhD in order to have this. Okay, any PhDs here, by the way? No PhDs? Masters? Masters? PhD. Medical doctor is another type of PhD. Okay. Masters, anybody? Masters? Okay, great. Okay, degree holders, the rest, right? Who is not a degree holder here? Besides me? Wow. Okay, now I feel so comfortable. I'm not the only one. Alright? Now, so we don't really have to be a PhD in order for us to have intellectual firepower. Agreed or not? Agreed, right? So how can we do it? Now before that, I'm sure that many of us have seen this kind of picture or similar kind of picture on Facebook floating around. How many have seen this before? You have, so few, the rest, the rest haven't seen. Huh? Okay. So it's quite a nice picture to use, alright, to illustrate things. And that is this. Just because something looks very nice and bushy up here, nice leaves, looks very healthy, doesn't mean that the thing which you actually want, okay, is just as healthy and vibrant. Okay. Just because something above ground doesn't look very impressive, does not mean that this is what we actually want, isn't it? Okay? So things are not always what they seem. Someone may claim to be an expert on a certain topic, but when you talk to the person, you realize that actually it's not so much of an expert. I have worked with people in the armed forces, okay, and I have had people senior to me coming to me and said, Elijah, you know nothing about this. Okay, I have done this exercise for the last 22 years. You listen to me. So of course, I being the junior guy will say what? Say, yes sir, what are your instructions? He gives me a set of instructions, exercise blah 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 blah. I look through it and I scratch my head and I say, how do you do this? Because a lot of it is going against, alright, number one, common sense. Number two, military principles of engagement. So how do you do this? Right, and after a while I decided that, hey, whether you are an expert or not, sorry, I have got to go and design and redesign this exercise because, thank you sir, I'm the one who's running it. Okay, and I actually did that. How many here engage with government bodies a lot? Government? Stat boards? No? Alright. Now if you do, Tommy of course, yeah. Yeah. Now if you do, you will notice that for government sector type of companies, they don't like you to change things, isn't it? Right? They want you to just execute, shut up and execute. Okay? But what I'm saying to you is this, we don't have to do that. So you can imagine during my 24 years, how popular I was with people who were above me. Alright, I was the blue-eyed boy, so to speak, or rather red-eyed. The opposite of blue-eyed must be red-eyed lah. Okay? So, do remember this picture. Do you know what this is? This is an actual structure, it's not a Photoshop. Yeah. Alright? Oh, you get up there using a ladder, of course. Okay, so, and this is actually a storehouse for rice. Okay? In fact, if you go to Thailand and some parts of Malaysia, you will find that you notice that the supporting structures from the ground up is all smooth. Okay? And in some places they even have, you know, the biscuit tin. They actually nail biscuit tin flat, so that it's you know, metal, right? And the reason is because the rats and even the snakes can't get up and spoil the rice. Okay, this is what the tribes people do. Alright, so when you go around, you know, Thailand, go and visit some of the mountains. Okay, you will find structures like this. Very interesting actually. These people got brains, they got no PhD but got brains. Okay? Alright. So, a storehouse. What is our storehouse of knowledge? How big is it? What is inside here? Okay? And not just here, but what is inside here? Okay? Now, do you know the distance, by the way, between your brain and your heart? Anyone knows what the distance is? Distance? Okay, it's roughly what we call a cubit. You know what's a cubit? C-U-B-I-T? A cubit is about 18 inches, right, for a 6-foot man. So, and a cubit is between your elbow and your finger. So if you do this, this is roughly where your heart is. So that's the difference, the distance between brain and heart. So if we have our head and our heart connected and full of good stuff, right, then we are able to, what do you call it, ready, fire, and aim. Now one of the first places that we look for getting this is what? Do you know what this is? This is the National Library in Singapore. Who here uses the library a lot? Besides, you know, our doctor and who uses the library a lot? Yes? Yes? Okay. I encourage, okay, all of us as trainers, we need to go to the library. Okay. That's if you are, you know, those poorer trainers like me lah, or cheapskate one. You go to the library, you borrow books, you don't buy them. You want John Maxwell, you want Peter Drucker, you want whatever, library have. Okay, and they are quite up to date, the collection. Okay. You don't, by the way, have to go to this library, the main one. Okay. Who stays in Woodlands, like me? Nobody. Okay. I stay in Woodlands, and people tell me that Woodlands is in Malaysia. Okay. So, I stay in Woodlands. When I want to pick up my books, where do I pick up my books from? Do you think I come here? No, I go to the Woodlands Regional Library. I order the book, and for $1.55, okay, they will bring it to Woodlands Library. I go there, I pick it up. Okay, you want it delivered to your house, you pay a bit more. Right? But poor fella like me, I will go there and pick up the book. Okay? Now, you can find books like this. Essential Drucker. Earlier on, Anita was talking about John Maxwell and so on and so forth. Right? Leadership, there's so many. Impulses and bosses and so many others. Right? You can find books like this. If you want something a bit more specific, you can find something like this. I take a lot of my ideas and inspiration from this guy. Okay, some people can't stand him because when he speaks, you know, he will make remarks and so on that rubs people up the wrong way because he goes against the group. He's not conventional. Right? Otherwise, and seriously, you know, I will encourage you to get this book. Because this book is talking about don't wish your life away. A lot of us, you know, we sit back and we say, I wish I did this. I wish I didn't say that. I wish I called 10 more clients. You know, I wish I didn't waste half a day. I wish. But once after reading this, you will stop wishing. Just get up and do it. Right? Because we as trainers, we tell that to people all the time, don't we? Right? We tell that to people all the time. But if you are like me, right, who am flesh and blood and so on, there are days when I also still say to myself, I wish I had done this, I wish I haven't done that. And then I gotta catch myself, you know, and say, hello, I'm a coach, I'm a trainer. What am I saying? You know, I'm not doing what I'm telling other people, so stop, get off my butt and do it. Right? But it's very important to have all this for intellectual firepower. This book, on the internet, I see so many people talking about this book. Sun Tzu and business, Sun Tzu and leadership, Sun Tzu and blah blah blah. Okay, how many of you have read this book? Serious? No. You don't need to be a military person to read this book, you know, by the way. It is actually a very simple, very straightforward treatise on the art of conducting war. You know what the main thrust of Sun Tzu is? His main theme, you know what it is? Anyone? Yes? Know your enemy, okay, we hear that all the time, right? What's the quote, by the way? Not sure. Anyone knows? Anybody knows? What does it say? Tommy, you know? You know,
Your enemy will be 100 better, 100 victory.
100 battle, 100 victory,
Know the enemy, know yourself.
And then?
Then you will not fear you will not fear, or you will gain the victory of 100 battles.
You will gain victory in 100 battles, Okay.
Because you don't have to go even fight the war. To win the war.
Okay. Partially correct. You're also correct. Okay. One of the things stated in Sun Tzu Ping Fa is to take an entire state intact is the acme of skill. Right? And this 100 battles, 100 victories thing, if you go China, don't say the waitress will laugh at you. Okay? Because the actual thing that it says is know thyself, know thy enemy. In 100 battles, you will never be in peril. It never say you will win. Okay, that's the actual translation, actually. But in the West, by the time I went to the West, it became 100 battles, 100 victories. No, you look for me in the history of all the wars, 100 battles, 100 victories, where? Don't have, never. Okay? But one of the main themes of Sun Tzu Ping Fa that very few people know, he is actually an advocate for not going to war at all. That is the main thrust of his book. If you can, alright, make peace. If you can, disable his alliances. If you can, foster, instability in his country, so that he's too busy to come and attack you. Right? That is his whole strategy, actually. And all these things about how many troops, what tactics to use, blah blah blah, that is when you have no choice. Then you do. So read stuff like this, and get acquainted. Now, what is this? Anybody notice? This is the site. Of course, is a networking site. BNI, of course, is Business Networks International. But what I want to zero on is this. Many of us are at an age where we, sometimes we don't feel like reading. Okay, who drives? Drive. Do you have CD player in your car? Yeah, right? Okay. Do you know that you can actually download this thing called a podcast? Put it on your CD, and as you drive, like today when you're stuck in a traffic jam, you can listen to some of these podcasts. And 10 minutes. The longest podcast I heard is about an hour by Alan Weiss. And I didn't even realize it's an hour because it's so interesting. So get the podcast. This, of course, is about networking. Can you see 265? And he does it once a week. So this is about 4 or 5 years already. Okay? And this is just networking only. This one, right? The CIPD, the Chartered Institute for Personnel and Development in the UK. Right? I recently discovered this website, and I discovered that they have podcasts. I listen to them. Right? there are so many things, although it is a HR website, but there are so many things that's related to training. Okay? How to make HR, for example, flow with the business. Because today, when you mention HR, by the way, sorry, anybody got people very close, dear businesses who are in HR? Anybody? Anybody? Don't shoot me, because when I was working in the army, my buddy and I, we are quite bad actually, quite pro. We term HR, you know what's the term for HR? Very bad, we call them highly retarded. Okay? Now, and the reason for that is this. HR is seen even by many CEOs, many companies today, alright, as, hello, come down to reality. Right? Because so many HR departments tell their bosses, sorry, you cannot do this, it's against the procedure. Okay? Sorry, you know, the structure is like that, cannot change. The route of advancement is like that, cannot change. And a lot of HR is actually hindering the business process rather than helping the business process. When in fact HR should be one of the most valued, okay, posts in a company. And organizations like CIPD were formed to address this, right? To get HR to become something that is strategic, to become something that is valuable. And as trainers, we are very much involved in HR. We are part of HRD, Human Resource Development. Alright? And you know, I would encourage, if you haven't come across this may not be the only site, I'm sure it's not. There's several others. Get into it. 10 minutes a day, that's all you need. This guy, okay, abrasive and all that, but I tell you, if you listen to his podcast, it's so enlightening. Right? So these are some other examples. Any other podcast that anyone else listen to regularly? Don't be shy. TED Talks, okay? TED Talks is the next one I'm going to cover, is video. Do they have podcasts as well? Podcast as well, right? That one I have not come across. Okay, so TED Talks, you know TED? Right? They have come to Singapore as well. So they have podcasts. Listen if you can't watch on video or whatever. Right? Yeah, I'll look it up. I didn't know they have podcasts. Okay. ASTD. Right? American Society for Training and Development. Right? Also another training arm. They have a podcast. I'm sure we can pick up things from there. Okay. It goes into our intellectual firepower storehouse. Videos. How many watch videos on YouTube? Of course, everybody, isn't it? Right? YouTube is now known as the biggest search engine, isn't it? Even bigger than Google itself. I mean, of course, Google has swallowed YouTube, but it's known as the biggest search engine. You can find stuff like this. So many instructional type of videos, and you can actually use these portions of it in your training workshops as well. Right? All you need is an internet connection, boom. No connection, download the thing. Okay, show it. Have you all come across this? Okay. If you have not, please go to this BNet. They have hundreds of videos relating to business, relationships, communications. Alright, how to motivate your employees, how to do performance review, blah 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 blah, all that kind of thing. It's all there. So go to it, pick it up. Okay? You don't need to have a degree, master's, whatever, in order to be an expert. Okay, so it's big one. And of course, you can do your own channel. I only have a few videos up here. I intend to put more. But what's stopping you? Okay? It's very easy. I am not a video man, by the way. Okay, all this is done trial and error. Switches. If you look at my videos, you will find that they are actually taken by my Samsung Galaxy Tab. Okay, and the person taking the video is my daughter. And then all you need to do is just put in a bit of text here and there. That's all. Maybe throw in some music. You know, there's some free music you can put up. Say something. 3 minutes, 4 minutes, good enough. Okay. But get yourself on so that people will recognize you and know you. Okay. Now, of course, you know, with all this, can we have information overload? Most definitely. Alright? But what I'm saying is this. Okay. Now, if we have a huge storehouse here, The danger, of course, is that we will tend to be what? Distracted. I have a lot of information, but I don't know how to string it together. Isn't it? That should never happen to us as learners. Maybe I suggest that. I find I talk to a lot of people, I know so many things, but I can't string it together. People come and tell me, I have gone for leadership workshops. I have done all the 360 evaluations. I am a leader in my organization. But every day I sit down and ask myself, hey, what to do? I don't know what to do. Right? So that is where we come in. Right? We can come in, we can lend a hand. We can bring them through what we call an application workshop. You already know the principles. Let me help you how to string it together. Because I know them as well. Isn't it? Okay. So you find that this, you can just Google it and get something of it, from facts, info, and what is knowledge. You gather data, and most of the while we gather data in order to make a decision, right? Now I'm going to zoom in on two of these tasks that we do on the left-hand side, and of course the first is analysis. Okay? As human beings on the face of this earth today, we are extremely good at analysis. Right? What is analysis? Making sense of the information, yes. By doing what? By dissecting, right? By differentiation, by probing into the bits and pieces, isn't it? Okay. The danger with this is this, you know the story, right? There was a road construction company, and they were going to build a road from town A to town B through a very thick jungle. So of course the road gangs came, they cut down the trees, they level the place, they start making the roads. And one day one of the engineers decided, hey, I better climb a tree to see where is this road going. So he climbs up the tree, looks, shouts down, stop, we are going the wrong way. And that happens with us so often, isn't it? We have so much knowledge, we do. In the end, we miss the mark. When we go in the wrong direction. So we analyze too much. Okay? Now, is analysis bad? No. Definitely not, right? Then why do we always hear the term analyze until paralyzed? Because very often, when we analyze, we fail to do the next thing. We fail to summarize and we fail to synthesize. Okay? We fail to fit the trees into the wood, the bigger picture, very, very often. Of course, the reverse is also true. A lot of bosses talk very big, but they do not know what is happening on the ground, as we have seen just now during the details of presentation, isn't it? Okay. But I suggest to you that for most people, they are very good at this and not so good at this. The bosses who are up there, who don't know what's happening on the ground, actually are lacking in this synthesis. Because you're the boss, data comes to you every day. My accountant lah, my whatever, sales lah, this and that. They will tell me what is happening. But I may fail to get the big picture. Okay, so we are very good at that. We are not so hot with this. Alright? Now, just to give a short illustration of what we can do as a trainer, when we have a storehouse of knowledge. Okay? And the knowledge that we have, by the way, doesn't always have to be related to what we do. Okay? Who here does leadership? Leadership? Okay. What else do you know? What do you do mostly? The topics.
Well, I can do the topics on Buckminster Fuller.
Buckminster Fuller, okay. Yes, he is more of what? Futuristic thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, futuristic thing, nanotechnology kind of stuff. Right. And then from what I know, I don't know very much. Okay, Buckminster Fuller. What do you do, sir?
Presentations.
Presentations, effective presentations. Business skills. Back, what do you do actually, mostly? Communication, right? And what do you do? Shake leg. No. That's a very important skill. Okay. The point is this: we all tend to want to specialize, and we hear it so often. Okay, you heard this thing before, like grow rich in your niche. Okay, heard it before? Grow rich in your niche, right? Specific is terrific. That kind of thing. And yes, those things have their place. But what I'm saying is this, we need to have a foundation, we need to have a solid foundation. From there, we can grow our specialty. Too many of us are trying to grow our specialty with no foundation. And so I'm very, very good at certain things. It's like a very tall coconut tree, alright, that has got not depth of soil. Okay, so the moment the wind blows, what happens? Down it goes. Alright, coconut trees are very, very well known for withstanding strong winds and storms. But if there's no depth of earth, it's still going to fall anyway. And so we will need that. I was last year doing team buildings for ITS Cyberjaya, which is in Malaysia. ITS is IT Support Services. They are actually the supporting arm for DPDHL. DHL some years ago was taken over by DP, Deutsche Post. So now it's known as DPDHL worldwide. Okay? They actually are in charge of tracking all the shipments, the parcels, you name it, and so on, all over the world. There's only 2 centers in the world that do this. One is Kuala Lumpur, the other is in Prague. Okay? And we were doing for this 1,000 people, right, team building sessions. And one day I was, at every batch I asked them, do you know that you are like this? You know what that is? Okay, what is that? The doctor, of course, will know straight away.
Parts of the human body.
Parts of the human body, specifically what system? Digestive. Actually, if you are looking at the blue lines and the green lines, what are those? Nervous system. Okay, the nervous system. And I asked them, I said, you guys, okay, ITI Cyberjaya, do you realize that you are actually the nervous system of DHL? That without you, DHL will be paralyzed? How many of you think that nerves are there to detect pain? Anyone? Pain? Pain, right? Pain. Is that all nerves do? No, right? What else do nerves deliver? Information in terms of? Sorry? Impulses, yes. No, I was actually going with something else. Nerves tell you that there's pain. Nerves also tell you that there is what?
Pleasure.
Pleasure, absolutely. Right? They tell you when something is painful. For example, if I have no nerves, how many of you wish that there's no pain? That you don't need to feel pain? Anyone? Anyone? Okay. Now, for pain is very important, by the way. If this is a hot plate, a teppanyaki, and it's on, and it's hot, and I just walk into the room and I didn't realize it, and I say, wow, such a nice place to sit down and drink I do this. What's going to happen to me? Burn backside, right?
No pain.
But no pain, because I will continue sitting there. Wow, what's that nice smell? Isn't it? And very soon I'm going to look like a mandrill. You know what a mandrill is? In the zoo, what's the color? What's the color of the mandrill's bum? Yes, please. You have a point? Oh, 5 minutes left. Okay. You see, that's the problem with being a trainer. You tend to talk too much. Alright? Okay. So anyway, pain is important, but so is pleasure. Right? So that's where, when you read up into such things, you are able to give illustrations. Okay, and draw it from all areas, all disciplines. Okay, spheres of knowledge. Sorry. Last one, the second last one. Your needs, not mine. Has anyone seen this before? Yeah, right, I'm sure. It floats around on Facebook and all that. Okay. I know I'm not perfect, I'm so close it scares me. Okay. Now, many of us as trainers, I don't know about you, but I have been guilty of this. Okay, we go to the client, what do? We say, I can do this, I am qualified in this, I have 10 years experience in this, blah, 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 blah. Boom. What does the client do? The client looks at you and says, jolly good for you. But that's not what I need, isn't it? I've been guilty of this. When instead we should be doing this. Go to the client and ask, what are your needs? And when we approach the client with this, in this manner, then we will be able to command higher fees. Right? Because a lot of us don't have this because the client sees us as a vendor. The client sees us as a convenience. Right? Where I have this need, or I think I have this need, I think, okay, sorry, what's the name? Karthik, just use Karthik for example. I think Karthik can deliver. You know? What do you deliver actually? Huh? Tuition, yeah. I have a tuition need for my staff, Karthik, right? And treats Karthik as someone who is selling Mirabus and expects to get the same price for it. When actually that's not what he's doing. He's not just giving tuition. He's helping to develop your people. So when we help our client to see that, right, then we can have this. Okay? And finally, homing in and getting the target even if the target is moving. Okay? Earlier we said moving targets are much harder to hit, isn't it? Right? How do we do it then? Now, babies, you go to any country in the world, you see a baby, what do? Yeah, so cute, right? So cute, right? It's a natural human reaction. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that when you go and see client, bring your baby with you, okay? Okay. But you know what I'm saying, right? It's a relationship. Get the relationships right with the client. The client is not just my client. The client becomes my friend. Right? And when we start treating our clients as our friend, when we are genuinely interested in their development, right, that is when, even though the target is moving, right, we will still be able to hit it. So I hope the short sharing has sparked off something in all of us, that it is not necessary each time ready, aim, fire. Sometimes, and in fact a lot of the time, it can be ready, fire, aim. So tonight as we go back, maybe I invite you to chew on it, ask any questions if you want, okay, you can email me, whatever it is. Okay, please feel welcome. Thank you so much.
Any questions?